Hey, 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 my girl, my princess, welcome on in. Today, we are going to have a very interesting discussion, if I do say so myself. I shall preface it with a story, but if I give it a big name, it would be the quantum field, engaging with the quantum field. If I give it a smaller name, I would call it manifestation. If I give it an even smaller name, it would be you as a creator, how you engage in your life as the creator. I understand that words have such power. There are words that I'll use that will make someone completely turned off. You think manifestation is for other people, not for me. I live in the real world. No, 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 no. I do serious things. Fine. It's completely up to you. But those of you who would want to listen to this, it's interesting. And I just have a couple of stories to lay it out. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, which is what has brought it forward, because we've both been going through separate paths which are related, and then we come together every once in a while. And she's such a beautiful friend to have because we have these conversations which are different. And she doesn't believe in manifestation at all. No, that's not her thing. But that's why I say sometimes we don't give things words. If it doesn't have a word, then you don't need to put it in a box that makes sense within what you've allowed yourself to believe as true. So my story: I live in a flat in Stockholm, and once upon a time, I decided to walk to work. Work was, I checked on Google Maps, it turned out not to be that far off. So then I decided to take a walk. It was 7 kilometers away. I'm doing these 10,000 steps a day. But even then, it wasn't because of that. I like to walk. Yeah, then I saw that it's possible to walk, so I decided to do it. So, with my trusted phone telling me where to turn, I went off on my journey. And I was astounded. What astounded me was that as soon as I got off the path that I would usually take, because I take public transport, so I'd take the metro, I'd take a bus or something like that. As soon as I got off that path, I chanced into, I'd call it almost a different world because of the housing, the beautiful, beautiful houses. And I was quite surprised because I thought my thinking in coming into this country and into this town was that everybody lived in flats. And so the it's not called acreage. What do you call the size of apartments here in Stockholm is much smaller than what I was used to in South Africa or in Kenya. So I took some mental adjustment to come into this space. So then to find beautiful houses, as in huge houses, big houses that people live in, truly surprised me. And I've had this conversation with a few people, and now, in fact, I like hanging out in those places because then I'm attracting that to myself. I'm telling myself it is a possibility, it is real. It is real that such beautiful, wonderful, luxurious houses are available, and it's a matter of first being aware. So, this is where we are coming into it. You live within the parameters that you've created for yourself, within the realm of knowledge that you believe is accessible to you. What dictates that is your past experiences and the beliefs that you've accumulated over time. You may believe that someone like you is only able of doing X, Y, and Z, only capable of living in this environment, only capable of this kind of lifestyle. Why? Because there's no one around you who has any other kind of way of living. And even if you've seen it on TV, you've seen programs on TV that have these super rich and amazing people living amazing lives. A lot of the messaging, as I came to understand it on TV as well, on the media, about the rich is negative. I've been watching some programs because I'm always curious and I love documentaries. So I was watching a documentary, I forget what it is called, but it had to do with the lifestyle of, in fact, there were three. There was one that was the lifestyle of the super rich, the people who just chance onto money and the foolish things they do with their wealth. Yeah, so already that paints the picture of not stupidity, but there's something wrong. They're not so clever, in fact, is the term they use. And when you listen to the program, each episode is like 20 minutes long. But that's a message that comes out. These people don't really know what to do with their money. They're just foolish. That There was another one about, no, I hope I remember them. There was another one about luxurious resorts and places where people live. These really high end kind of places. And the storyline was about the people who work there and how they can never match. So it puts you in the mood of, this is unfair. It is unfair that there are people in the world who get to live such grand lives, and yet the people who work for them and serve them cannot match. And the people were never unhappy, interestingly enough. They were never unhappy, but it was just that juxtaposition that creates this mindset within. And just the last one was, either way, I can't remember the last one. I wish I could. Because that one had someone who was speaking in the back. And her tone was very condescending of these rich people. I think it was about millionaire homes. And she just had a very condescending tone about the way, if someone had like a huge walk-in wardrobe, like who would ever need that? That's the size of a whole apartment in London. I think this was in the UK. So all of this to say that even the media that you get influences you in bits. You get the impression that riches are wrong. And I like, I was listening to Myron Gold, is that his name? Myron Goldwyn. And he was talking about just this. He was talking about how media affects our perspective of being rich. And he was talking about the superheroes. And he mentioned that the only rich superhero is Batman. And then he happens to be the one who doesn't have any superpowers. Yeah. And then the person he is fighting against is also a super rich villain. I forget his name. So either way, this perspective that seeps into you quietly, this is what I mean when I'm talking about things that are awake in your subconscious but unknown to you. You don't realize that having watched all these things on TV has created a certain perspective in your mind about riches. And for me, that's the reason I was watching these programs, because I was just asking myself, what else is out there? What else exists? Because then now when I saw these homes, which are actually just in my neighborhood, they're not very far off, then I realized, this is something that I can potentially create. Now, we speak about manifestation and people think, I believe that my own perspective is that one of the reasons people don't believe manifestation is real, especially people who consider themselves very scientific and very strict and straight and, is because when it does occur in their lives, they do not ascribe it to manifestation. Because manifestation, it's that woohoo term. It's just wrong. It's not proper. You're not meant to think that way. You're not meant to be delusional. Being delusional is silly, is what some people will say. But being delusional is one of the only ways of getting to something that you do not believe is available to you. Need I talk of Sasha Fierce? I mean, really, this Sasha Fierce is Beyonce's alter ego. Because she was a good girl, she was a church girl. Well, I don't know if she was a good girl, but she started singing in church. So for her to move from this wholesome Christian kind of music that she was used to singing into the kind of songs that she sings now that embrace her femininity, her sexuality, and all this juicy kind of stuff was a stretch. So she needed to create an alter ego who is the person who can do those things, because she did not believe that she herself could. That is being delusional. And it's available. I wonder, I do it quite a lot. I speak about it in my book, A Date Like Cleopatra, The Good Girl Flips the Script. Here I speak about putting on the persona of the person who you want to be in a given time. There's something about their characteristic that you want. And it could be absolutely anything. The example that's coming to my mind right now is, if you're going to be in a place where you feel that you're going to be small and you're unsure of yourself and you really don't know how things are going to go put on your Trump personality, a Trump coat. And I do mean the president of the US, Trump. Yes, he has such audacity. He doesn't care. He believes in himself. He just knows that what he's doing, he pushes himself out. And that probably comes from the background of a rich kind of lifestyle. But you can take that on. You can go into that interview with the confidence of Trump. Because why not? It's just something, I think of it as having a wardrobe of clothes. which are actually the personalities or the role that you want to play at a particular time. So if you take on what am I taking on? This is a cloak. A cloak. You put on your trump cloak. And then in that point, you are being delusional because you're taking on the attributes of his that make him audacious and really, really outgoing and have that kind of personality. Of course, there are parts of his personality you might not want, then don't take those. But I mean this in anything, anybody you admire, anybody who makes you think, I want in this particular moment to be the sexy goddess. Oh, take on Cleopatra. Date like Cleopatra, the sexy goddess. And you can actually just put it on. It changes. Like, look, I've just changed my posture when I was thinking of being the sexy goddess. It changes your posture. It changes you. It changes something within you because you've allowed yourself to step into that persona for a particular moment in time, and you own it. And you can own whatever it is that you want to be. And we say that the reason you're a creator is that you're living in your own movie. Everything that is happening to you, you are the director, you are the one who's written the script, you are the one who's decided what's going to happen. You might not think this is true because you do feel that a lot has happened to you. And yes, a lot has happened to you. But the effect these things that happen is going to have on your outlook on life is based on you. Are you going to paint it as this horrible day because you stubbed your toe against the couch in the morning, and then after that you poured some tea on yourself, and then after that heaven knows what happens, and because you've been having these negative thoughts, it's like what's this? It has a snowballing effect. it has a snowballing effect. So one small thing gathers up with another small thing, gathers up with another small thing. But what you don't realize is that you are attracting these things. Why? Because your mindset is set to negative. Your mindset is set to, I am so unlucky. Nothing good ever happens to me. You are manifesting it. You are manifesting these things that are then attracted towards this mindset that you have and proving to you that, yes, you are unlucky. Your mind is this powerful thing that wants to prove to you that you are right. Whatever it is that you believe will come to you. Another example of this is, and I like this example, I heard it somewhere, that if you are obsessed with like a car, if you want a certain kind of car, which is what I have been obsessed recently with my BMW iX1, I think that's what it's called. It's a beautiful car. I think it's amazing. And what has started happening, because I've been thinking about it so much, is that I see it everywhere. Now I absolutely see it everywhere I turn. I never used to see BMWs in this country, interestingly enough. But now every day I go out, I shall see this car in particular everywhere. And it is that. It's not so much that people have gone off and bought this car to suit me. Things don't happen quite that way. It's that my mind has made me aware of them more than I was before. Because it's something that I am attracted to now, and then my mind is saying, look, there is one. And before, they were there, but I just couldn't see them. I like the example. I don't know if I've given this example before, but I like it very much. From this program, it was a series called, I forget what the series was called, but it was about nurses. And it had a guy called JD, I think was his name. He was the main character. And he was single. and in one particular episode, it shows that he would never ever see women who are married. They just wouldn't filter in. So in one episode, because it's just one of these silly kind of sitcoms, the voiceover says that, or someone says that all the women who are married should remove their rings. And all of a sudden, the room just magically fills up with all these other women. So all of this to show that in his reign of vision, women were not visible. They just could not see them. And this is something that you do without knowing it. So in my example, probably those houses that I had seen, they're probably everywhere. It's just that I had closed it within my mind to think that this is not something that is available. And because of that, I just couldn't see the houses. And now I do. I see them more. Well, of course, I still go into that neighborhood. But when I'm going around Stockholm, I do feel that I see more than I used to see before. Yeah. So all of this to say, I've lost my train of thought there, or I've overlabored the initial point. You live within the parameters you create based on your belief. It's all you know. Yeah. So then, what do you do? How do you discover other possibilities? If you're with me so far and you're thinking, okay, fine. If the only thing that I can see and is available to me is the things that I know, how the hell would I figure out other things? Yeah. So my example is I deviated from the ordinary path. Instead of doing the things that I do day in, day out, which was using public transportation to get to where I was going, I chose something different. And in choosing something different, because I didn't have something that I wanted to see on my journey. I was just using my GPS and getting along. And in that space, because there were just all these houses, that is what I saw. So, the first one I have here is research. But before that, listen to yourself. What do you long for? I like that one. I like that one. Yes, because now I've started longing for the BMW. The color is teal. Ooh, yes. I realize that I write a lot with the color teal. You know what teal is? It's like a green blue. I find that a beautiful color. So then that's now the one that I've decided that I want, my BMW iX1. But listen into your heart, because I never thought I wanted to drive. That was not something that I felt. I've driven quite a lot, so I was quite happy being in Stockholm and using public transport. But it's a small longing feeling that started coming within me. So what small longing feelings have started coming within you? What is it that sometimes you see somewhere, or you think to yourself, or you read in a book and you think, wow, it would be so awesome to have that. And you feel it somewhere inside. It's not just at the head level. It's just this amazing thing that you think, wow, that would be so amazing to get. Even if it doesn't really track with what you generally do. It might be something so either over the top or just completely unexpected. If you suddenly feel that you would really want to play the violin, as an example, listen to it. There are little seeds in these things. You don't often get the full picture, but it's just something small that points you in a particular direction. Because it might not be, maybe you'll go to the violin shop and when you're there, you'll chance upon what do you call these guys? The guys on those bikes, like the Hells Angels, those guys who have those bikes. And it turns out that was your actual dream. So you see the bike outside the shop and you think, wow. And then it turns you and it takes you in that direction. So the point is to be curious and to let yourself be childlike in your experience of life. Not so critical and thinking and wondering, and this is serious and everything must be done in this way because this is how it's always been done. Allow yourself the freedom to just try something new, to just experiment. And in researching your, like what I was doing with the documentaries, I was just curious to know how do rich people live. What things do they experience? What is their lifestyles and that kind of thing. Well, what is your interest? Maybe you want to know how to cook. Watch TV, watch cooking documentaries. Go to restaurants that serve food that is not the kind of food that you usually eat. Something completely different, something that you wouldn't do. There are restaurants that have strange experiences. You might, or even maybe go to dinner at someone's place and maybe they will be serving something different. So your research need not be sitting with a book. I love sitting with a book. That's my particular cup of tea. But your research could be anything that opens your mind, that takes you in a dimension that's different from what you're used to. And stories and movies are actually also good for that. They give you a different perspective on life. Why not? And the point is that being broader than what you have been. Because if you are only allowing yourself to live within these four walls of the construct that you have constructed, then you're not going to experience anything else, and you shall get bored. That is the truth. You shall get bored. That becomes the rat race. When you're doing everything the same, and you start thinking to yourself, is this all life was meant to be? Is this all life was about? And the reason this podcast is called Lost in Our 40s is because the 40s are really the time when we start having these thoughts, when we start having this disquiet. It could be earlier, it could be later, I guess. But when you start asking yourself things of when you're just unhappy with your life, nothing is making you feel anything. You have everything you thought that you wanted, but you're still going out for more things, accumulating things or accumulating. You're living a life that doesn't feel like it's fulfilling. Even though you have everything you thought you wanted, it is still not fulfilling. And in that one, that's the one that we say we need to go back to the past, because we need to understand the point at which you stopped growing to some extent, the point at which something happened that made you feel a certain kind of way, because that is that hurt, that is that feeling that you need to heal within yourself. It's not so much you could buy the whole world, you could accumulate all the BMWs you could accumulate all the BMWs in the world, but if what you're trying to fill is this void inside of you, it doesn't matter how much money you have, what you do, where you go, you need to first of all go internally, heal that wound, and then move forward. But I am sure I have a couple of videos on that, and I'll put them down in the notes. But this one is really about just opening your soul and opening not your soul, yourself. Opening yourself to different things so that you can experience different things. Look for evidence that it is possible to achieve. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, look for evidence that shows that it is possible in the world, and secondly, that it is possible for you. I'll give the example of living in Stockholm, how I came to live in Stockholm. I had a need before I came here that coming here would resolve. I don't want to get too much into the details. And when the opportunity to get a job here arose, it was fantastic. I just thought that this is it. Being able to achieve this movement to Stockholm was all that I needed at that point in time. So how I went about it without really thinking that I was doing anything is I used to swim every afternoon. I used to go swimming at a lovely pool, and I swim slowly, just slowly. And I realized that, and now thinking back, I realized that I was getting into some kind of meditative state in my swimming. Because I was then feeling in my soul and in my bones and in my core what it would be like to live in Stockholm. And I just felt such a warmth inside, and I felt such gratitude, and I felt such peace. It was such an amazing feeling, and I just kept connecting to that feeling every day as I went swimming. And this is the process of manifestation. I wasn't consciously thinking of it as manifesting. No, that is not what I was thinking. If you'd asked me at the time, I would have slapped your hand away and told you that's silly. I hadn't read a book that told me that this is the process of doing it. And yet, somehow, something within me knew to connect to the feeling, to connect to the emotion that would be tied in living this life that I am living now. And what happened is that I managed to connect, which is why we were talking about quantum fields. I managed to connect to the version of me, this version of me, the version of me that is living here, at a point when I wasn't. And what happened is, when we speak about quantum fields, is that there are different versions of reality. That is my take. There are different possibilities that can happen at any given point in time. If you do this, there used to be books when I was young called, I forget what the name of the books were, but it let you choose your own adventure. Maybe that's what they were called, because it says if she opens the door, turn to page 20. If she turns around and goes back, go to page 5. And you see, so it gives you different things that could have happened. And that, for me, is how I see the quantum field as being. There are different things that can happen. The possibilities of what can happen in your life are infinite. They're infinite. You're choosing to listen to this now has an impact on the way you think, because this is new information to you coming from me. Yeah, so it changes the way you think. You might think about it, and it might go into the back of your recesses, or it might be something that you want to do something about. So the point being that there are different ways, that there are different realities that exist at a particular given moment in time. So while I was swimming, and I was living in South Africa, while I was swimming in South Africa, I connected to the version of me that was living in Stockholm. And that they met, let's say, because energetically I was feeling the feelings that I would be feeling if I were in Stockholm. So these two met. These versions of me met. And I attracted myself towards the version that I wanted to be. And here I am. And that's really the point. So, what is the secret sauce? How do you manifest things? How do you jump into different quantum fields? How do you, what was the other name of this topic? How do you create? Ooh, I really like the idea of being a creator. It puts, it makes me feel like I have some control. Yes, control. But it makes me feel like I have an active role in what is happening in my life. Because based on how I take things, then that determines how things are going to happen to me. But we've already talked about that. So, engaging your body, having that feeling of what it would be like to have exactly what it is that you want. And Napoleon Hill speaks quite a lot about this in his book, Think and Grow Rich. Excuse me. And it's just that. If you truly, truly, truly want something that you feel is completely out of the realm for you, it's not something that you can figure out the steps on how to get there. The point is not figuring out the steps. That in manifestation and in jumping quantum fields, that has nothing to do with it. Because the best idea that you might get might still be very, very far from getting you to where you want to be. And you do not have the capacity within yourself to do these things. So belief in God, belief in the source, belief in a higher power that enables these things for you is really critical, because then that truly helps. Because especially if you have a very scientific mind and think that things must be a particular way, if you can give it up to this higher power, then that helps you in terms of thinking and engaging. But from a scientific perspective, I mean, they do say that atoms are, I'm going to butcher this, but I'll just try to say it how I understand it. That the finding was that atoms are not always in a particular place. It is when you're looking at a thing that the atoms come together to solidify into this thing that you're looking at, because they're energy, they're moving a lot, they're moving around a lot, meaning that for it to be static and form this cup means that the atoms are moving around less. And yet, if like 99% of the atom is the energy, the moving around, the movement, then how to put it, that's what they're doing, they're moving around. So it was found that when the attention is on a particular thing, when the attention is on the cup, when you're looking at it, it's like the atoms know to come together and form the cup. I'm not making this stuff up. Go look it up and read it from someone who knows these things better. But then the point there being that if that is true of just everyday solid objects, think of all the things that we do not know. How that can be true of, it must be true of everything else. We are energy ourselves. We are matter and we are energy. We are made up of atoms, so that there's just all this movement within us. So it is possible for us to move energetically from the version of us that we have now to a different version, on the understanding that these versions exist. You could have slammed the door or not slammed the door. Maybe that weakened the frame to your door frame, and maybe now in a couple of months you're going to have some bills to pay to fix that. You know, that's what I mean in terms of directions that life can take, and these are the different avenues of reality. And you can pull yourself into a version of reality that's not what you have now. Okay, feeling. That's where we were at the feeling, engaging with your body. Be grateful as though the thing that you wanted were already there. That's a superpower. Gratitude is like a superpower. This feeling that you run within yourself of grateful for something that hasn't even arisen yet. That's amazing, because that's if I was going to say if nothing else, but that is really the point. It puts your soul in congruence with your mind, with your body. You align everything up, because you're saying that I am grateful for these things that happen. And to start a gratitude practice, you really need to just start being grateful for the things that you have around you at any given point in time. We often think about the lack, the things we don't have. But if we start putting ourselves in the mind frame of being grateful for the things that we do have, it's like the universe looks and says, aha, this one, look at her high vibration. Because gratitude and joy and these kind of emotions are elevated emotions. They're vibrating at a higher, faster level. Making it easier for you to attract these other quantum fields, these energetic fields that are how to put it, that are not available to you at that particular moment in time. Yeah. So engage in gratitude and just start small. Be grateful for whatever it is that you have in your life, especially the things that we take for granted, because we live such amazing lives. The fact that we live at all is absolutely amazing, and we need to slow down to be able to take that into account. Yeah. Recognize the answers as they arrive, even in ways you did not anticipate. Yes. It I When I moved to Stockholm, I absolutely did not tie it into my swimming practice. Not at all. It took me engaging more and reading and finding out about manifestation and things like quantum fields and stuff like that. And now looking back is when I was able to see, aha, this is what happened. This is how I attracted this reality to myself. Yeah. And you've probably also attracted a certain reality to yourself. Maybe you'd be able to look back and see it, or you can plan it, you can practice it, you can find out more, engage with the information, and figure out what you, especially finding out what you yourself want, is not as easy as it sounds. Because if you're told that you have an unlimited capacity to do anything, go anywhere, be anyone, what would you want? And sometimes our minds are too small to engage with that, because we never have. We we've never thought that big, and don't feel uncomfortable if you haven't. Engaging with your shadow self, the part of you that wants to do things that you've been suppressing throughout your life, because we're told that's not proper. Bring it out. Don't let people tell you what is proper and what is not. Why? Because for you to be aligned with yourself, you need to let these parts of you that are not nice, if we call it that are not proper, free. You need to let them, well, not free, you need to let them come to the surface. You don't need to just go on every whim and do everything that you have ever longed to do, but you need to look at it. Look at this thing and see, this is something that I want to do. And you can figure out avenues of doing it that are not horrible. Like I said, sometime if you want to punch people to a pulp, take up boxing, take up wrestling, take up karate, take up judo. There are means of channeling this energy that we have within us that will satisfy the part of us that wanted to do it, while still being true to yourself. But at least you need to let it come to the surface. And these things can let you know things, elements that they might let you know activities that you want to do. They might let you know where you want to be. Be free with yourself. We are too stuffy in life. We learn to be serious. Be less serious. Being serious is overrated. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. And it would be super good to hear if you try out any of these practices and what comes out of it. Let me know in the comments. Reach out. Let's start this conversation about the things that we manifest, about our delusional escapades, about the personalities we put on. Let's do this. And this helps us actually engage with our feminine energy more, because we're loosening up the strict structure that we have, and we're being playful. Love you, my girls. See you next time.